By the spring of 1889, James's health began to take a turn for the worse. His many strange symptoms were seen by the family doctor as proof that he did have chronic indigestion.
Rather than arsenic poisoning.
Which was pretty underwhelming of a diagnosis given all of the symptoms he was experiencing. But still, that's what the doctor decided. That's what he told James. And James was like, okay, well, now I need an entirely new regimen of all of these new medications to take.
Mm-hmm.
But James wasn't exactly one for restraint around meds, right?
Glug, glug, glug.
Glug, 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 glug.
That's how I imagine he took his meds.
His tonics.
Yeah. So now, on April 27th, 1889, James Maybrick overdoses on his medication and sent his health into a nosedive. In a matter of a few hours, he starts vomiting, he loses feeling in his legs, and is bedridden. And despite the issues in their marriage, Florence returns home and becomes a doting wife to take care of her husband. She and a rotating list of doctors tend to James day and night. But then this is where things really take a turn, and not in Florence's favor.
Right. So James is bedridden, and we know for a fact that James had taken too much of his medication.
Fact.
Underline, bold, all caps, fact. But that's not the narrative that other people wanted to follow.
Nope.
People around James were very concerned about his health because one day he would be terribly ill, but then the next he'd be chipper and he'd be feeling better. But then his health would decline again. So it was like, what's going on? As his health began to get worse, some other bizarre moments took place around the house. One day, Florence prepared a bowl of gruel for her husband, which was considered somewhat strange given that they had a cook and basically the cook made all the meals. So why was she suddenly doing this?
Right. Like Florence wasn't known to cook. Like she wasn't
And she wasn't doting on her husband at this point either.
Well, now she is because of his illness.
But I understand where some of the suspicions came.
Yeah.
So when Florence took the dish up to him, the cook allegedly noted that the color of the gruel looked darker than it normally did.
Sure.
She tasted it and noticed the flavor seemed slightly different too. Okay, well, maybe she added less salt.
Well, also, Florence isn't usually cooking, so yeah, she didn't follow your recipe to the T.
Right. She probably screwed up half of it.
Right.
The cook said James wouldn't like this dish, but let Florence take it up to James anyway. Another day, James stormed into the kitchen to complain that his food had too much ketchup in it and he didn't like it. The cook, again, found this bizarre because she hadn't changed anything about his meal.
So that's a meal that Florence maybe took up to him but didn't cook.
Yeah.
They're just trying to find any...
They're trying to find anything. Yeah. Well, it's him. He's declining.
And taking poison.
Around this time, Florence told the house staff that she wanted to limit the amount of food her husband was given. And from now on, she would be the one to dictate his diet. But nothing worked. James' legs felt so stiff he could barely walk on them. He was achy, he was sweaty, he had really intense stomach pain. And in a last-ditch effort, Florence bought a bottle of beef stock, which at the time was called meat juice.
How disgusting. Meat juice.
And prepared a bowl of this meat juice for James. But he never drank any of it.
The sicker James got, the more that the house staff and James's family started to cast a suspicious eye on Florence. So remember the brother Michael and Edwin, especially Michael, who was not too keen on Florence? Well, they come to the Maybrick home and immediately Michael is like, you're poisoning James. Florence, you are banished from the room. So Florence is not allowed to take care of her husband whatsoever. And even without Florence in the room, James's health starts getting worse. And Florence now is like, oh, they think I'm responsible for this.
But also, I'm starting to blame the doctors because family doctors are privy to all of this. They're in the rooms. Why didn't they say anything?
Right. So she is like adamant that she has not done anything. She's also trying to claim like, we all know, and James has bragged about the fact that he is poisoning himself. Like, I swear I didn't do this, but it didn't matter. People turned against Florence. I mean, they turned against her from the day that James brought her back from the SS Baltic.
Yep.
And on May 11th, 1889, after weeks of being sick, James Maybrick died.
And immediately, suspicion of foul play spread through the town, everyone pointing their finger at Florence. Not a single doctor was able to identify what James Maybrick was sick with, which made the Maybrick brothers even more convinced that Florence had something to do with it. She was responsible. James's brother Michael had the body examined in hopes of finding out something conclusive. And the doctors did find something. They found traces of arsenic in his body. To catch every terrifying moment, subscribe to @Crimehouse Studios on YouTube.
Because this time, you're not just watching the horror, you're understanding it.